Kesselhaus, the main stage of Most Wanted Music 2023. Did you get a chance yet to listen to some interesting talks? Hands up. Yeah? Yeah? Nice. And most importantly, are you in the festival mood yet? No? Yeah? A little bit? Okay, then we will work on this together. I'm Jonna and your stage host for today. Earlier today, Mirka Lotz introduced you to our awareness policy, and I just wanted to give like a short summary of this again. We're all here together to have a good time, so let's be patient, understanding, kind, and whenever you need help, don't hesitate to approach anyone from our awareness team. NFT, short for non-fungible token. Who of you ever owned an NFT? Okay, 2, okay. And who actually understood the concept of NFTs? Maybe a little bit, okay, some, okay. Because I must admit, I Googled the definition of NFTs several times and I still didn't really get it. So I asked OpenAI to explain it to me and I was still kind of clueless. But then in the situation, I realized I just used 2 of many new inventions that are fairly new, but became more normal in our life. Due to those technological inventions, investing in music rights and artists has become a market that pushes boundaries for the music industry. And whether NFTs, AI, blockchain count as opportunities or as threats will be discussed by our next speakers. I introduce to the stage Scott Cohen, CEO of Jukebox. Put your hands together for Scott. Then Emma Walton of the SoundCloud leadership team will be so kind and guide us through the talk. Put your hands together for Emma. And then last but not least, CEO of Unison, Jordi Puy.
So this panel is about fractionalized ownership, and if it's an opportunity or a challenge, a threat for a sustainable artist career. And we have 2 very knowledgeable, prominent panelists to discuss this topic, who both founded innovative companies in the music industry which challenged, or not even challenged, but used the technologies which are out there and offered something new to the market. So we have here Scott Cohen, the founder of The Orchard in the end of the 90s. I mean, you have to imagine a distribution company. At that time, it couldn't have been digital already.
It was digital in the 90s.
End of the 90s.
When people had dial-up modems, yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah. And
old school.
and then you were Chief Innovation Officer at Warner Music. And now you step back into the arena with a new music service offering royalty shares as an asset class to the market. So this is really something absolutely new. And then we have Jordi Puy, who is the founder of Unison, a rights management company which is offering their services on the basis of blockchain. And the company has been founded in Spain and is, of course, offering the service to the world. And yeah, it's phenomenal that this comes out of Spain. That's really great.
There's a reason for it, but I'll go into it later.
And what I wanted to set the stage for this panel is that we are at a turning point in the music industry. So we have challenges which come up from the 120,000 uploads a day, music royalty fraud, streaming fraud. We have an intransparency. We have a need for new models to offer to the market and to artists on top of the all-you-can-eat subscription offering for $11 or euros a month. And this comes at the one side, but on the other side, we have great technology in the market, which will offer new opportunities to build offerings and services. We have money pouring in the market. We have predictions of 1.4 billion market in 2030. So now we are at $92 billion. And this is amazing. And these innovations and these music services, which are possible with the new technology, are really beneficial to the market and bring something new which wasn't possible before the invention of these technologies. So the combination of technology and investing into those is making services like Jukebox possible. And I want to start with the question before one step back, before I introduce myself. I'm Amma Walton, and I'm a music licensing expert, a copyright lawyer, a coach, and a mediator, and I'm running the music licensing team at SoundCloud, and I'm the deputy general counsel there. So, but now let's begin with Scott. So, why and when did you decide to step back into the arena and become the founder of Jukebox? And what is a fractionalized copyright asset class?
Well, that's a lot to unpack. The why I decided to step in, that's a longer, maybe that's more of a therapy session of why I decided to punish myself and get back into the startup world when I had a very nice, cozy life. That's a different discussion. But I'll explain what we do just so you understand, just to give it some context. What we do is we work with rights holders to take the income from songs, because songs make money. We take those songs and we take a portion of the income, we put it into a new company that buys a portion of the income streams that then is taken to the SEC, which in America that's called the Securities and Exchange Commission. It's what regulates the stock markets. We get it qualified, and when it comes back, what we've done is taken the income streams from songs and converted them into regulated securities that people can trade. So what we'll be offering in the first offering are songs recorded by Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Ed Sheeran, Adele, Major Lazer, Jonas Brothers. I'm seeing blank stares. Has anyone ever heard of those artists? Yeah, okay. Because I was like, oh, wrong group here. Yeah. And so we allow people to invest in those songs. Because right now, we know music as an asset class has become really important as we've seen big artists selling their catalogs over the last 5 to 7 years. And the finance industry finally recognized, oh, this shit has value, real value. That's why billions and billions of dollars are pouring into the space to buy those. The problem is the only people that can afford it are those big venture capitalist firms or these big private equity firms. What we're doing is allowing anyone that has essentially a trading account to be able to then purchase these royalty shares.
Wonderful. And if you are describing the revenue streams and asset class, is it that you can participate with your royalty share into this new asset class in the publishing rights and the recorded rights, or is it only referring to income both. Streams from publishing?
So songs make money. So if we took a song like Halo, it was written by 3 people: Ryan Tedder, that other dude, and partly by Beyonce. I forgot his name. It's being filmed. The other dude. Sorry. It'll come to me tonight. So it was written by 3 people. It was recorded most notably by Beyonce. It also had a producer. So there's a lot of people that share in the income from that song, from Sony, Columbia Records to the songwriters and publishers. So what we say is you can, whatever rights we have, because sometimes it's on the master side, sometimes it's on the publishing side, whatever we have, we're very clear, this is the part that you're investing in.
Before we come to Jordi, But you
No,
are
we
not
don't need.
owning.
We're fine.
But
We're fine.
You are not
Excuse me.
owning.
We got this.
because before we speak about rights management, which is addressed already here, but just to be clear, Jukebox is not owning the rights because you just said you had the rights. You only have an entitlement to the revenues.
We're a platform that's going to list the rights the way, the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ doesn't own the rights to Apple. They facilitate the ability for other people to invest.
Great, just to clarify, and we will go back there because it's really fascinating what this service offers to the market. And now that we touched publishing rights and recorded rights, let's come to Jordi, who founded Unison, a global rights management company. And the question I have: how did you get the idea to be a competitor to the existing offers on the market already? So where did it come from, and when did you decide to found Unison?
Sure. Well, first of all, danke vielmals for having me here. It's great to be able to be in Most Wanted Music. I've been following the conference for many years, and it's a great opportunity to be here. And it's a real bonus to be with both of you on stage. So how and why we came up with the idea of Unison? Basically, I've been in the industry for more than 25 years. I have a degree in law, passion for music. So the intersection, obviously, is copyrights, right? And we had been suffering, the founders and the people that joined the team, the inefficiencies and sometimes nonsense of the collective management organizations that were former monopolies. And in my part of the world, they were like, in serious trouble with lack of transparency, bad management, et cetera, et cetera. But we could do nothing about it because of the regulation. But then the European Union, the European Commission said enough is enough, and they passed a directive that liberalized the market and basically said, okay, now private for-profit companies can enter into the market and do collective management of copyrights in whatever sector. We chose music, obviously. And that was the trigger that suddenly we realized that we could basically implement our dream, because now we had the capacity to do it. And then we decided to create Unison as, a forward-thinking 21st century CMO based on the principles of efficiency and transparency through technology.
And when I went through your website, I also saw that you are that you're using blockchain for your offerings. In what way are you using it, and in which of the transactional levels are you?
Yeah, absolutely. We're not a blockchain company, and the way we use it is because, just to rewind a little bit, when we decided to create Unison, then we said, okay, we know what pain points we've suffered, but we want to do proper research, and we want to know what technologies are out there that can help us. So we went to London, and we worked with IBM, and we invited board members of traditional CMOs. We invited members of high-level music tech companies, and we were asking, what are your pain points? And then we were turning to IBM and saying, what technologies do we have in the world that could help us to design a streamlined rights management process using and capitalizing on technology? And over there, obviously, and that was 2017, blockchain was on top of everything. And we realized that the concept of blockchain, decentralized database with such security levels, would be ideal to solve certain of the pain points and problems, such as the registration of ownership of works, to know who is the owner of a particular musical work in a moment in time. But we also realized through IBM and everyone that we could not build a blockchain ecosystem because none of our competitors would be ready to join our network, right? So at that moment, what we decided was we were going to work with companies that were at the forefront of using blockchain technology for the purposes that we were intending to do. And that's when we came across Blockchain Media, which is now Verify Media. And what we did was to build all our platform, rights management platform, so that was compatible and ready to be plugged in other blockchain ecosystems for the registration of ownership of rights. And that's the way we've been sort of interacting with blockchain. So we are not a blockchain company, but we were the first CMO that was designed to be able to be plugged into these technologies. And these technologies have been evolving, so we went through a phase where suddenly we realized that it was not sustainable energy-wise, right? When it was so heavy, and we said, okay, we're going to drop that. I mean, we want to solve this problem, but we want the planet to survive, basically, because if there's no planet, there's no business. So we said, okay, we're going to drop it. Now, after the reshuffle of the blockchain technology that reduces on more than 99% the energy consumption, we are sort of back again on figuring out how we can take again these principles and use them. So it is a fluctuation, but nowadays we don't even mention blockchain. We use it through partners, but it's like, do you know what's the coding behind a website? You use the website, right? And you don't care about the coding. I mean, I don't care as a user. So for us, it has to be the same principle.
I mean, what you care about from an artist perspective is the transparency which blockchain enables as a decentralized technology, and of course that you use top-notch technology compared to the existing CMOs, which have, I mean, technology which has been built years ago and then be stitched together over the years, but it's definitely, except ICE maybe, is definitely not on top of the game. So are you using blockchain in any ways? For Jukebox?
By the way, I was just also thinking, everyone knows when he says CMO, everyone knows GEMA in this country. So he's competing with the GEMA of Spain, which is a sky.
With the sky.
And he was, oh God, I wish we weren't being recorded here and we didn't have journalists. Because you were very polite to say how a sky is acting.
Yeah.
But they've been convicted of offenses, criminal offenses.
Yeah, there has been no doubt, and
Yeah.
we spent 3 years on court cases basically to make them comply with the new regulations. We had to go to the competition authorities, the commercial courts, and that was a long process. But
So
luckily,
it's certainly
we won
like
all the cases. Yeah,
David versus Goliath, and you already did the slingshot and got them. Their one eye.
they're still standing, but
Yeah.
it's a bit
They're
like
hurting
that.
now.
But did they had to give up rights which you are now licensing exclusively in Spain?
Well, what happened is that they were basically not complying with regulation. They were preventing in different ways the right holders to move from one to another.
Which I experienced myself in different roles, yeah.
So, and then they also, and now this is under revision as well, they blocked the market as well on the broadcasting by issuing a type of licenses that would prevent other players to go in, because they were saying to the TVs, I'm licensing all the music in the world, and if someone comes after you, I will deal with it. So zero incentive for the broadcasters to do so.
And so what they were
Basic competition law, sorry.
They accomplished this in Spain to help songwriters and publishers and give them the transparency and to speed up the processes and get rid of this kind of old world thinking of this is how we've always done it, right? But maybe the other societies aren't as, I don't want to use the word corrupt, so I won't use the word corrupt, I just cede the word. Maybe the other societies aren't like that, but there's still all that old world thinking of like, oh, you get a statement once a year or every 6 months and blah, blah, blah. Like, they're like, it doesn't have to be that way. Doesn't have to be that way. Sorry, it's like a sales pitch.
Thank you very much.
For Unison. But it's so important, and it's important for people to understand that this is changing the rules of how, and the expectation, like, shouldn't we expect better now?
Yeah, and that you are in the opportunity as a publisher to really decide who do you trust your rights with. That's really, that makes all the difference. Yeah.
For what types of rights.
Exactly.
Now you have the freedom. For first time in Europe,
absolutely.
Now you can choose.
Yeah, and of course there's competition. Others had the same ideas, but the competition is very good for the market as well, because it makes everybody standing on their toes to deliver the best services to the creative industry. But coming back to you, Scott,
Sorry.
I was also, because we were speaking about stakeholders right now, the old Spanish CMO, what about the stakeholders you're dealing with? How did they see, I mean, we have a music industry which consists of three very strong, prominent companies, Warner, Sony, and Universal. How did they approach you with when you set up and founded Jukebox? Do they cooperate with you, or who are your?
It's actually funny.
Partners?
They reached out to me because I've come from the music space, so they already knew me. But I think for us, it's, yes, we work with the large rights holders. That's where we're getting these rights. So it's good for them. It's good for the copyright holders, whether it's publishing or masters. And then we realized it's good for, the regular person, the consumers, whether they're fans or just investors. In America, 63 million Americans have individual investment accounts where they can buy shares on the market. So they're buying it, they're putting it into their pension funds, or they're trading it. So it's a big deal. And so it's fans and individual investors. So it's good for them, because why shouldn't they own pieces of these songs? I was saying, I just bought the new iPhone, whatever number, Pro, Max, whatever. And I have a MacBook. I actually have 2 MacBooks, one for business, one for personal, and an iPad. I'm a huge fan of Apple, a big consumer of Apple, but I also own shares in Apple. I bought stock in Apple. So from the consumer perspective, you can stream your favorite artists, you can go to their gigs, you can buy some merch, but you could also be an investor and share in the wealth. So those were the 2 big constituents. And then I thought, oh, fuck, what about the actual songwriters and the recording artists? Because they're not party to this deal. We're getting it from large rights holders. And so we had to come up with what we call our creator program, where we said, even though we might have gotten the rights for something, for this music from somebody else, we want to ensure that they get to share in the wealth as well. So when things are traded in the platform, we know, well, who's the songwriter, who's the composer of this song, and who are the recording artists. And we've established this creator program where we also pay them as well, so that everybody in the ecosystem participates in this.
But you can also only be part of the creator program when your rights are offered as an asset class on your platform. You gotta actually, if your rights aren't there, you can't go, well, I'm a creator, can I have some of that money? No, but the CMOs also have social funds where they share.
We don't have a social fund for that, but remember, we don't have any royalty obligation. There's no music being played, and we don't have the contractual obligation. We're just saying, if you're the subject of these rights being traded, shouldn't you also somehow share in it?
Okay,
and
but
again, to be very clear, we don't pay a commission or anything, because that would violate SEC regulations. But we found an interesting way that they can participate.
But still, the source of your business is the creative work of artists, and
Correct.
You would never be in the position to build this new market on top of the existing market without artists creating music. So this is why the thought of a social fund is not something.
The way I look at it is, often the rights we're getting, it's because those artists already sold their rights. They sold them and they collected the money. They thought they were finished. And we're saying to them, oh, it's not game over. Even though you sold those rights, you have more chances to earn from them.
Yeah, good. I still think that if you build something new on top of something existing, where some stakeholder in the industry, like the artist, is not enabled to participate in it unless it is a hit producer, writer, or performer, then I think there's also kind of an obligation. But that's maybe a very European, very social.
I'm a socialist. You're right. So maybe from this conversation, I'll think about that. How we can also just have a fund for creators that aren't on the platform, that just help to fund creation,
so that they possibly be in the future in the position to be on the platform.
I think that's a brilliant idea. You getting this down, Joe? Okay, go.
But for example, if I can step in this conversation, because it's 10% of social funds, right? For social, and it sounds very nice, very good on paper, but then who decides how this money is going to be distributed? Because this has been the problem where I come from, right? And suddenly you are like, the right holder, author, publisher is being charged 10% before distribution. Then it's being charged 22% average on the admin fee for the distribution, you are on 30% already, 30-something%. And then who decides how this 10% is going to be distributed and which way, right? And
That's true.
we faced serious problems about that where I'm from. So for us, it's like, let's give options of choice to the right holders so that they can decide first, do they want to donate this 10% or not? Second, what they want to donate it to, right? So let's create my suggestion. Sorry, and because we are.
No, I want you to design the program for us. Hold on, keep going.
We've given a lot of thought because we've suffered the dark side of this model. And our conclusion, right or wrong, is let's create a group of validated NGOs, support organizations that right holders can choose if they want to and who they want to donate. That's our humble
I'm
suggestion.
so going to steal this. Don't write about
Steal
this
it,
part.
please.
So I'll
no,
steal
come
this
on. It's
idea.
like, yeah, let's, you know.
But no, because I say steal because then next year I'll be on stage somewhere and I'll go. And then I was thinking I should also have a socialist part where I allow people to invest, but they'll choose. It'll be my idea.
It's fine with
It was my idea.
I was told so many
You're so far out of it now.
The Music Most Wanted Conference 2023 has the subtitle Humanize. And I'm also very much interested in your way as founders of innovation companies in the music industry, which is for a long time was a very stable, not changing, not being threatened place with innovation. So what are your biggest learnings from, especially you, Scott, found the orchard at the end of the 90s.
You now.
No. But what were your learnings from founding companies which transformed the industry?
First I'll challenge you about the change and innovation because I think it always happens. And it continually happens. That's the beauty of being in the music industry, that it's never the same 2 decades in a row. Like in the 50s, it was all about singles and black and white TV.
But CD was for a long time, and then download, and then streaming. And now we are in cycles of innovation very, very fast.
Maybe, but I still think it's always happening. But in any case, what was? What did I?
Question was your learnings, Scott. Share them.
Yeah, God, I'm old. I have a lot of them. But
the 3 most important learnings.
All right.
On
So
being
number
an
one,
innovator.
anytime you're doing something new, starting a new company or having some new ideas, it's always like the ideas are almost revolutionary. Like Jordi, we're going to change how the CMO and PROs work, how we do collective management and payout, really, really forward thinking. And those things are really revolutionary, the ideas. But the change is evolutionary, meaning very slow and over time, and things always take longer. Like you've been at this for now 6 years,
yep.
and you're still feels like you're at the beginning of the journey. From the idea till it takes place is always longer than you expect. So that's one. 2 is, for me, I learned that the best businesses are the ones that aren't disruptive. Like I started the Orchard, I wasn't trying to disrupt the music business. I was trying to add to the music business. I wasn't trying to get rid of somebody that was already doing it and go, I'll kick them out and I'll do better. It was, how do we add value where it didn't exist? And in our case, it was offering distribution and digital distribution to people that were essentially closed out of the music industry. Because if you weren't signed to a major, you weren't part of it. And then just the other thing is, I don't know, just being older, I actually look at my younger self and sometimes cringe of how I was when I was in my 20s and 30s. Maybe that's just...
But how were you?
Shittier than I am now. I don't know. I'm much more... God, I can't believe these words are coming out of me. More empathetic. My wife would go, no, you're not. But no, you're not. But I am more empathetic and caring and understanding, and less about, my old because I live in London, my old New York self was like, yo, what the fuck? We're going to fucking crush the competition. Like, that part of me is all gone. Like, I'm more like, we're all part of one great ecosystem, and how do we all get everyone to hold hands and join along and sing a song? It kind of rhymes. Oh, yeah. All right. This was our segue into now we have a three-piece band. Amma on drums, Jordi on bass, and...
no keyboard?
No keyboard.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Also for the openness that your 20-year-old self was a shittier version of what you.
So I hope everyone becomes a better version of themselves, because especially there's something about young males from teenagers into their 20s and 30s. We're just a horrible. Sorry to the young men in the audience, but to the women, you can back me up. We're horrible.
I have
Scott,
to protect you from yourself now. Let's move to Jordi.
That was at your era and my era.
Oh.
My teenage niece and nephew, nothing to do with this male culture that we experience. Like my nephew is like completely different. So they are better than us.
Thank you.
We don't have to worry about
it. So it's not even age, it's era.
It's era. Yeah, and we are in a different era. And coming to you and your learnings on your way of... Have you founded a company before as Unison too?
Yeah.
Which one? What was it?
I founded Sound Diplomacy, which is a consultancy that designs strategies around how to use music as a tool for social and economic development. It went into very much into the idea of music cities and how music has to be integrated in city governance and government so that its value it's fully recognized, but also it contributes in a more meaningful and structured way on the development of society, whether it's socially or economically. And that was like over 10 years ago. And from founding Sound Diplomacy and founding Unison, and it's very relevant, and I'm not making this up for this conference, that's what I believe, and I've said it before. My learning so far, and I might be wrong or right, but it's that the key are humans. So we are a technology company, but if there's one thing I'm proud of, really, it's to have managed to engage the people that I've managed to engage in the way. And our team at Unison is incredible. This would not happen. There would not be, technology would not exist without the vision and the passion of the human being. So my take is like, first thing first, and humans are the most important thing in our industry, whatever technology is. Well, he might disagree, but I agree, at least on the founding of a company. Because at least the core, then machines will do things, but without the human...
people always talk about what's going to be the first AI song, but now it's like, what's going to be the first AI-created company? That the company will be...
I mean, you can ask now ChatGPT to do a business plan for you and the PR campaign.
No, that's in today's world.
Yeah,
but think 10 years out.
Yeah, I don't know. It might well be. But we have to get to a point maybe when quantum computing meets AI. Maybe then there will be enough power to be really creative by the machines. And I have no doubt it will happen. Right now, machines can do things, and artificial intelligence can do things, but they cannot create something from scratch.
And that brings me to
I see his face like, they can, but they cannot.
That brings me to another question. And you need to know, dear audience, that Jordi and Scott have been on panels together before, so they have this bond.
Oh, yeah. We're friends.
So, AI, you mentioned it, and the question is, what does AI generative music what impact does it have on your service? Does it have an impact? What impact does it?
I mean, AI is so broad. It's so broad, and you also have to imagine what is AI in 2023 and what will AI be, in 2033. Like it's what is the internet?
No, in context of generative music.
In context of generative music, I was in Hamburg a few weeks ago for Reeperbahn Festival. I was talking with Mark Mulligan about this quite a bit. The notion that the music industry historically has made its money as a consumption model. People consume music. That's how it makes money. Songs are played on the radio or downloaded, or you buy a CD or a vinyl or a cassette, or you stream music. We consume music. That's how we have our industry. But there's a parallel track that can emerge, that instead of being just a consumption-based model, it can be a model based on creation. That generative AI can allow everyone essentially to be a creator and the machines to create on their own, which could rival the size of the consumption model. You know, as you look at social media, you know, in the 20th century, there were people that wrote, you know, for magazines, for newspapers, they wrote novels, and then the whole world consumed that. And then all of a sudden you get the early days of, you know, like MySpace and Friendster and that, and all of a sudden everyone's writing and other people are consuming everybody's words. And then you get to the iPhone and Insta, and then everyone's a photographer and everyone's expressing themselves not with just words, but they're expressing with photography. And now we're in a world of, you know, TikTok and YouTube, and everyone, and I say everyone, and billions of people are expressing themselves through video. What we haven't had a chance to do is express ourselves through music, because to do that is hard. It used to be hard to express yourself through photography. Everything, when there were cameras with film that you had to get developed to, if you really wanted to be good, you actually have to learn things like what's an f-stop and the aperture and focus and all that shit that I don't know about. And now I just take a picture with Insta and it looks fucking amazing. You put it on profile view and you turn your phone upside down and all these things, and people go, "You're such a great photographer." And I'm like, no, it's the technology. So can we do this with music to say, oh, I really love that track, and then it just spins out some new piece of music.
And the connection to your business, I didn't want to interrupt.
So the connection to my business is, if you're investing in songs, and particularly on the publishing side, and you're thinking the only revenue coming in is from the consumption of those songs, now the new revenue source can be from the creation based on those songs. You know, so maybe think of it this way. Over the last, I don't know how many years, everyone would make a song and then they do the remixes. Here's the house mix, here's the this mix and that mix, and like that. But now imagine it at scale, where you have a song and then it can be recreated versions of it at just millions and millions of versions in a second.
Thank you. And with AI-generated content, which might not be copyright protected, what relevance does this have for your business? What do you think about that?
Yeah, a lot of relevance, obviously, and we see from our nature of, you know, always seeing the positive side of things and how evolution. I think that AI will bring so many good things to the industry and some challenges, obviously. I think that now legislation is being discussed and it will be implemented. It's important, the right to know for the consumers, what it, you know, if it's created by AI or created by humans, that's a right to know. And then I couldn't agree more with Scott on what Mark Mulligan from media research, he said about, I was also in a panel that he did in Barcelona, and he was going on about this creators economy. So, and then I linked that. Last week I was in Medellin and I was listening to a conference by Sony Labs that Michael and his team are doing an incredible job on developing AI-based tools for musicians to create. You could have like a bass player that you train, or that you train like if it was Paul McCartney, right? Or things like that. You can train, and then it can help you. So I think that it's clear. It's not me saying it. It's the people that really, smart people in the music industry, that it's pointing it out, and it's clear evidence that we're going to move into a creators economy. So this will create a lot of copyrights challenges that we as a society will have to decide. Copyright is based on law. So, and law, it's based on what we all as society agree that should be the way we treat a particular matter. So now it's a very important time And you being a lawyer, much more knowledgeable than myself, because you are like being an active lawyer on IP for that long. I don't know if you agree, but my point of view is that now we have to decide, what do we want? I don't know how it's going to be, because we need to put the law, we need to agree and make a law that then we comply with collectively, so that we decide how it's going to be. So for me, the question is not, how is it going to be? The question is how we want it to be, right?
And this is, of course, the challenge. And now this is my opinion, that the technology is always faster than the legislation process, and to decide how it will be while in another region of the world without, or a different type of copyright law technology is invented, which defines possible rules, is a challenge. So yeah, we will all be aware. But I read yesterday night that Dennis Lagadière from Believe has now invented an AI detection tool for the service, which is great, because that's the first step to help the process of respecting copyright, when you know what is AI created and what is not AI created.
And again, it's can we learn the lessons from 25 years ago, where we were creating technology to block what was happening on the web? Now we're just going, if people are creating new music and maybe it trained on our music, we want to detect it so we can get a royalty payment. We don't want to detect it so we block it. We want to detect it so we can get paid.
Totally. And like with food, I do this comparison, like you need to label food, know how it was made, so that you can make a choice, right? And I choose to buy fair trade, whatever, because I know it's the right thing. And I'm already doing it. We are already doing this when we go and buy food. So why will we not do it when we're going to consume
transparency,
music, right? Transparency,
again,
and then I will choose. I know what I'm going to choose between, a fully AI generated or a creators with the help of AI generated music.
Exactly.
Because the AI is going to be everywhere.
It will be.
It will be like a question: do you use a computer to compose? It will be the same question.
Absolutely. So we are now, we have 5 minutes for a Q&A from the audience, in case you have questions for Scott, Jordi.
But you're not obligated.
You're not obligated.
There's someone there, one hand already.
If someone has a question, we're happy to take it.
Hi, my name is Linda. I'm head of the board of the German Songwriters Association called Verso. And my question is simply, do you see any threats in especially owning shares or like selling your shares as an artist? Is there anything that the artist should be aware of?
Yeah, just, in our model, when we deal directly with artists or with the other rights holders, they maintain ownership of the copyright. So they keep it. They're just saying a portion of the income from that will now be converted into royalty shares. And what's interesting about it is, I was in New York in June, and I was with this guy from the NFL. So that's American football. The American with the helmets and you hold it in your hand and throw it and kick it and do everything. And so he was saying, fans of football, American football, so you have your favorite team, whatever it is, the Jets or the Patriots, or these are all the names of the American teams. When you're a fan of football, and then you start playing fantasy football, your spend on football goes up 3 to 4 times more per year, 300 or 400% more. We're not fantasy. But our belief is, when people start investing in music, their spend on music may also go up.
So you say there's basically no dangers?
Oh, there's always dangers in life, and there's risk with anything. But again, artists right now are selling their copyrights and taking some multiple of that, 10, 15, 20 times, if you're a superstar artist, 25 times your earnings, and you're selling it and you'll never get paid again. What we're saying is, if you wanted to work with us, is you could maintain the copyright, which gives you all the decisions. It's your copyright. And you can take a piece of the income and you can offer it up for people to invest in. And it's also bringing money forward to you. When that happens, you make money. It's just giving more options or another option for songwriters. Are there dangers of selling? Yeah. I mean, I think it's more dangerous for the younger artists selling. The older ones, when how do I say this in a nice way? They're going to die anyway. So if they're 70 years old and then it's like, I'm going to be dead, so give me all my money up front now. Look what I could do with it. So if you're 70 or 75 years old and somebody's going to give you 20 times your annual earnings, like, what the fuck? Not only do you take the money now, because you're not going to be around in 25 years, but not getting into the complexities. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not an accountant, but when you're making money from music, it's income on your taxes. When you sell it, depending upon the country you're in, it's called a capital gains. And so your tax basis is much lower, so it's also tax efficient.
And also with the estate owners, it solves a lot of problems. Another question? We have 1 minute and 30 seconds left.
Hello, my name is Pietro and I'm a copyright lawyer. And my question is about the process of the legislation for the problem of copyright and AI, which is now the topic within copyright. Because as far as I've seen, the American and the British legislation is a lot more developed than the European one. Like in America now, they are starting considering work of the considered to be copyrighted, something made by a computer, by a machine, while in the European Union it's still not like that. What perspectives do you see within the EU to consider a work made by the artificial intelligence to be copyrighted? Because at the moment there is not a European legislation that considers this work eligible for copyright protection.
I mean, I'm a German trained lawyer and a copyright expert, and in the current law, in the current Urheberrechtsgesetz, it is required to be human in order to get copyright protection. So there is no copyright protection for a fully artificially created musical work. So that is the one point to your question. The other is that Europe was very fast with writing an EU AI Act. It will take a while until it is finalized and until it will be active, maybe 3 to 5 years, which is long. But there is a draft legislation which defines many aspects around AI. Copyright is only one little piece of it. And so I think the European Union is fast, and they made the first stance, from my point of view.
For me, I think music is music, and I don't care if it was art created by AI or a human. It should generate copyright protection. But that's me, and I think if we think out again way into the future, when maybe machines will be sentient and conscious. Like we have trouble defining what is even consciousness to humans or animals. But once we achieve that, whenever that is, probably not in my lifetime, but maybe, then will we look back and go, why don't they have the same rights as we have? You know, we've given animals rights. Why can't we give a machine rights?
Well, when this comes, I mean, for me, there's no question, right? We will get to this point. I mean, you know, I'm a quite a sci-fi reader. I'm on the sci-fi reading club of my library, my local library. But so I've read so many books where artificial intelligence, you know, becomes a living intelligence. Living intelligence, right? Yeah. And when this happens, yeah, I mean...
Because intelligence is intelligence. I think it's almost diminishing that we call it artificial.
Mm-hmm. But now,
make a distinction.
Gentlemen, did this answer your question? Okay,
No.
good.
Sorry. But you answer the question and then we rumble the word.
Exactly. So don't go wild.
Now we have
here.
something to talk about
Yeah.
tonight over drinks.
So I think we are at the end of our session. Is there any final question the audience
we're
might
over time.
have?
We're not
And we are
allowed to
over
go.
time. So, but there's one. David, isn't it you, the intern at SoundCloud? Yeah. Hi, David. One last question, and then we
Shout him,
wrap
we'll
it up.
repeat it.
And we will be around anyway, so...
I just wanted to ask about the creators economy aspect you were talking about and how exactly people would look to monetize that, like people making money out of AI. Yeah, so if everyone's making an AI-generated music, how can companies make money out of that, was my question.
So the question is really, at the current state of copyright law, you make your money based on the existence of the copyright law that generates revenues by performance, reproduction, streaming, all the right classes out there. So you do not have an owner of a copyright of a fully artificially created copyrighted work for now. That's
Do you mind if anyone's tired of this, you just leave, or if they don't want us, they'll cut the microphone. But we won't be offended if you leave because we're over time. But to me, I would look at it not just on the creator economy and how it relates to AI. I would look at it as the music industry and how it relates to making money. And the music industry is shit at fucking making money. And thank you. It's like, yeah, I feel like I'm in a church. Yeah, yeah.
92 billion in 2023.
It's
I'm just
shit.
saying.
It's shit, and this is why it's shit. So I said this recently. I have a friend in Italy, Gino. Yeah, I could have said Mario, and you'd still believe me, but it really is Gino, and he lives in Oslo, and he worked in the business of bicycles, cycling, because cycling in Italy, and there, I'll love it. Do you know the average cyclist spends 3,000 to 5,000 euros per year on their hobby? They buy the helmet and the gloves, a new seat, the spandex pants. Always a good look because it's picture like 50-year-old man with a little with their spandex pants. But anyway, 3,000 to 5,000. Anyone ever go skiing? You don't have to love skiing. You just go skiing. How many thousands of euros does it cost to go skiing for a week? You like yoga? Like, oh, I go to a yoga retreat. I got the mat again with the spandex pants and all of this shit, right? How many thousands of dollars, euros, pounds do people spend on those passions? Now we flip it to music. You pay your monthly subscription to whatever service you like. That's $120 a year. You go to a couple of concerts. You buy a T-shirt. Maybe you get a piece of vinyl. We struggle to get a fan to $500 a year. If we had a fan of music that was spending $1,000, we'd go, holy crap, we have some super fan. Everyone else I talked about, these aren't like crazy passionate people. They're like, I like skiing, I like riding on my bicycle, and they spend thousands and thousands and thousands a year on that, which doesn't equal the amount of consumption that a fan of music has and how pervasive it is in our society. Like, some people like yoga, some people like skiing, some people like cycling. Everyone fucking listens to music. And that's why I'm saying we're shit at it. And instead of we fight amongst ourselves on like, should songwriters get more than this? Should Superstar X get more than this back? And like, wrong conversation. Let's think about it. How does the gaming industry do this? Or how does...
Absolutely, Scott. And I think this is a great way to end the session because we are at this turning point where we really want to find new ways to generate income for artists on the connection between the artist and the fan.
So we need to get all music fans to wear spandex pants?
No!
Right? It's like the 80s all over again.
I think we end it here. That's a great end. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm ready for one.